Hello everyone and welcome to the 2016 Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway race review, where I recap what went on before the race, during the race, and after the race, looking ahead to the upcoming race. So, well, first of all, let me just say that if my voice does sound a little bit different, or if you hear like more echoing, that's because I am recording this in someone else's house, but it shouldn't be a major distraction, or at least I hope it isn't. So, overall thoughts on this race. Well, another Brickyard 400 in the books, and in my opinion, I think that this was the worst race of the season in terms of the quality of the racing. The winner didn't have anything to do, even if it was like Martin Truex Jr. or heck, even like Jeff Gordon or Tom Stewart, which I'll mention those two names again later in this video. It would not have mattered really at all. The racing was just simply horrible, but I expected that because really stock cars at Indianapolis have never really put on good shows from pretty much the very beginning. There might have been some races back then that I haven't really watched from beginning to end yet that did have good moments in the racing. But most of the time when NASCAR comes to Indianapolis, you can expect a pretty lackluster, dull race. And we certainly saw it today. But you also have to give credit to Kyle Busch and the AT team. They came to Indianapolis prepared better than anyone else, and they executed perfectly, just dominating the race. The most dominant performance we've ever seen in the history of the Brickyard 400. And Kyle Busch continues to break records. And this is his fourth win of the season. And Kyle Busch is definitely looking like a championship contender like he did at this point 1 year ago, where he also won the Brickyard 400. So this is back-to-back Brickyard 400s. He also won the Xfinity race yesterday, and actually this weekend he became the first driver ever in NASCAR history to win both poles and both races on the same weekend. So, love or hate Kyle Busch, you have to kind of give a little bit of an applause for that, because that's not the easiest thing to do. So, pre-race notes, and there were some big headlines coming into the race. One of them that you may not have heard of is a couple of sponsors that could replace Sprint next year were revealed. Panasonic, LG, Coca-Cola, Comcast, and Hisense are currently in the running, and there could be more, but they haven't been revealed yet. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top. I think just because it sounds good, Coca-Cola. That's what I would like to see. Because I think Coca-Cola Cup Series, it just sounds good. But anyway, the big storyline heading into this race, in my opinion, Jeff Gordon returns. Many articles you'll find said that he came out of retirement, and not exactly. Jeff Gordon last year said that after 2015 he began racing full time. He didn't roll out coming back for special events or filling it in for someone. Even though there were headlines saying that Jeff Gordon did come out of retirement. And this is to fill in for the recovering Dale Earnhardt Jr., who last week, or I guess I should say 2 weeks before New Hampshire, had concussion-like syndromes, and he did not race for Indy, and he won't be in the race at Pocono. So Jeff Gordon is filling in. And for Jeff Gordon and his fans, this is huge. And one interesting fact to point out: first time Jeff Gordon races in a Sprint Cup Series in a car that wasn't the '88. And overall, I had mixed feelings about Jeff Gordon being back in the car in this type of deal. As to this last week, I'm not exactly going to explain why. I'm just going to say I have mixed feelings about Jeff Gordon back in the Sprint Cup Series, but I think it is good for NASCAR, Indianapolis, and Pocono that big superstar, a legend, future Hall of Famer, is back racing in competition. Also, if NASCAR brings a new package to the Michigan race next month in August, Goodyear is ready, and even if NASCAR doesn't bring a new package to Michigan, Goodyear is still ready. So props to Goodyear. And you don't see it up here, but Matt Kenseth's car won the race at Loudon last week on Sunday, but he failed post-race inspection, gets a 15-point penalty, fine $250,000. It was the same penalty that Casey Kane and Kyle Larson got earlier in the season, but I gotta say, this penalty is really just a slap in the wrist, especially since Matt Kenseth already has a win, so this points penalty is meaningless. I think in the future, NASCAR needs to start taking away chase tickets. Whether it's the winning car or if the car just finished 23rd. I think that's what NASCAR needs to do when cars fail post-race inspection. Anyway, now on to the weekend. Jimmie Johnson was the fastest in practice number 1. He's a 4-time winner of the Brickyard 400. And then during that practice session, Kyle Busch was approaching Patrick Carpentier, and Patrick Carpentier did not expect Kyle Busch to approach on him that fast. In turn number 2, they made contact. Kyle Busch went for a spin but didn't hit anything, so Kyle Busch did not have to go to a backup car. And then in second practice, happy hour, Kyle Busch was the fastest in that session, and then he won the pole for the Brickyard 400. And really, when I look at, and really even before the race started, I just had a feeling that it was going to be a Jogas Racing / Toyota race. I know that this is on many fans' minds, and I'm sure that today and in the coming days we're going to be seeing articles about this, so I might as well get this big elephant out of the room. The attendance problems at Indianapolis Speedway during the Brickyard 400 weekend, to be honest, it's really pathetic and sad. It's embarrassing, a black eye to both NASCAR and Indianapolis, especially since the Brickyard 400 is considered by many to be a crown jewel. I'm not really a big fan of this event personally, and honestly, if you look at what the crowd was 10 years ago to today, I think many fans would agree with me. It's just not a very special event to the fans like it used to be. There are many reasons why it is. Brian France's leadership, the tire debacle in 2008 didn't help. The aerosynth of the race cars, and to me, even the low down package today didn't really seem to make any difference whatsoever. And like I said before, Indianapolis is just simply not a very good track for stock cars when it comes to good racing. And unless NASCAR's popularity can spike again upwards, we're likely going to be talking about this and seeing this for years to come. The crowd for today's Brickyard 400, like last week, there were reports of like 32,000 to 34,000, and then on Wednesday when Jeff Gordon announced that he would return to this race in Pocono next week, I think that did make some people travel to this race, so that added maybe a couple 100,000, who knows. But yeah, it definitely was not a very good crowd, to say the least. Entering this race, the previous 3 races, Hendrick Motorsports did not have a car into the top 10. And that was the first time that had happened since 2000. And this year has definitely not been the year. They definitely are not the team to beat like they were a couple years ago. And even though they still struggled at Indy, they didn't make a big gain, most notably with Jimmie Johnson, who got them a top 10, not just a top 10, a top 5 finish. And in fact, this top 5 from Jimmie Johnson was actually their, I think it was their 1,000th top. I think it was their 1,000th. Yes, it was their 1,000th top 5 finish. So quite the achievement, and also good. And also this finish was also pretty good for Jimmie Johnson, who came into this race going like 6 races without a top 10. His last top 10 was almost 2 months ago, Coca-Cola 600, where he finished like 3rd. So definitely they're still in a slump because all 3 of the other drivers finished outside the top 10. Gordon, Chase Elliott, and Casey Kane, but they did make their slight gains. And speaking of Jimmie Johnson, this also was not a very easy race for him. He didn't really have a winning car, but he definitely had a top 5 car. But middle of the race, got caught for speeding, and was able to come back from that. And late in the race, there was concern about not having enough fuel, but they did have enough fuel, and they were able to finish third. So it will be interesting to see if this top 5 finish is going to give them some momentum heading into Pocono and in the weeks following that race. As awful of a race that was to watch, the highlight of the race for me that I will look back on when I think of this race is this moment right here. Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, in what will likely be their final Brickyard 400, a race that means so much to both of them, and they've had success in this race before, taking one last lap to salute the fans, and it was just truly a great moment, possibly one of, if not the best moment of the season. And watching this again, it makes me, it gets me a little bit emotional. Seeing two drivers that you've watched for several years this late in the career, it's like saying goodbye to an old friend. There's not really a whole lot more to talk about this race, so this is where I'm going to start wrapping things up here. So like I said earlier, not anywhere near a good race, and I would go as far as to say that this was the worst race of the season when we're grading the quality of the racing. But I did expect it, and well, but I have to give Kyle Busch and the rest of the 18 team credit. They came to Indianapolis prepared better than anyone else, and they executed, in my opinion, executed perfectly. And even late in the race, when he had all those late race cautions and fuel became an issue for them, they just kept on. They fought, and they still came out victorious. And now, and really, what can be done to fix the Brickyard 400? I mean, to me, they're having a couple of ideas, like, for example, like move to like the first race of the chase, like, for example, like swap Indy with Chicagoland, and that would actually be something that I actually would not mind. I mean, I know it's like a tradition to have the Brickyard 400 during like the summer months, like whether it's August or July, but that could work, and it would make the race a little more special because it obviously is during the chase. But really, the damage has been done. Just kind of let things stand, in my opinion, and just kind of let nature take its course. You know what I mean. But now let's look ahead to Pocono, and man, it didn't feel like it was that long ago we were at Pocono. And well, man, I kind of wish that at the 2 Pocono dates were a little bit more spread out, but it is what it is. So we're heading to Pocono next weekend. The race back in June was actually it was a solid race in my opinion. It definitely had a lot of attrition to fuel mileage, different leaders, new faces up front, and I think we could be able to do the same thing again. And who I think is going to be good there? Well, if I think back to June, who was good at June? All right, Chase Elliott led the most laps. Gibbs cars, Matt Kenseth was running well. Kurt Busch went on to win the race. So I don't think there's really like a clear-cut winner or a driver that I'm looking at is like, oh yeah, this driver is definitely going to do well and win the race. But I'm gonna go with Matt Kenseth. He won the August race a year ago on fuel mileage, but I just think that it's time for Matt Kenseth to have another dominant performance and take a checker flag, and I think he will do that at Pocono. So that's pretty much all I have to say. Be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and bye.